For my range of motion, I drew wrist flexion. The patient is sitting with her shoulder abducted at 90 degrees and her elbow flexed at 90 degrees. Her wrist is a little bit past the table to make sure her range of motion is not blocked by the table. I'm going to demonstrate the action and ask her to do it to see how her motion is and then check her range of motion. So I'm going to flex the wrist. Good job. Now I'm going to palpate for the lateral trochanterium. And this is where I'm going to put the axis of rotation. I'm going to have the stationary arm towards the equilibrium process, and the moving arm is going to be at the fifth metacarpal. I'm going to stabilize the radius and ulna by holding on to the forearm. Let's make sure that the forearm stays level and that she doesn't supinate or pronate. So I'm going to ask her to do the motion again. I'm going to measure. So she got about 90 degrees, and that is within normal range. The normal range is between 60 and 90 degrees. Now I'm going to do passive range of motion to check her end feel. So I'm going to stabilize her ulnar radius again. This time I'm going to push down on the dorsal side of her third metacarpal. So I got a firm end feel, which is normal. The end feel is caused by tension of the dorsal radial carpal ligament and the dorsal joint capsule. So today for manual muscle test, I drew scapular elevation, which tests upper trapezius, which is innervated by cranial nerve 11, otherwise known as the accessory nerve, as well as spinal nerve C1 through C5. It also tests the levator scapula, which is innervated by the dorsoscapular nerve of C3 to C5. I'm going to test her in the gravity resisted position, which is the patient sitting on the table, her feet flat on the floor, and her arms to her side. I'm going to start by demonstrating the motion, and I'm going to ask her to go through the motion to see how her range of motion is. So bring your shoulders up as high as you can go. Good. And then I'm going to palpate for her upper trapezius. Good. While she goes through the motion. After that, I'm going to ask her to turn her head contralaterally and bring her head a little bit downward while I stabilize her ipsilateral head on the occipital side. And then I'm going to ask her to bring her shoulders all the way up, and I'm going to ask her to hold tight, don't let me move you, while I press down on her upper trapezius. So hold tight, don't let me move you. Good job. So she was able to hold against resistance, so she's a 5 out of 5. If she was able to hold against moderate resistance, she would be a 4 out of 5. And if she was not able to hold against resistance at all, she'd be a 3 out of 5. If she did not have full range of motion, I would have tested her in the gravity eliminated position, which would be the position would be her laying prone on the table. So today for sensory testing, I got the C7 dermatome. It is over the middle three fingers of the hand. On the palmar side, it goes down to the palm. On the dorsal side, it goes down to the middle of the medial forearm. The way I would test it is first I would demonstrate how it would feel on the forearm of her unaffected side, usually in a different dermatome, and then I would show her how it feels. That's how it feels. And then I would tell her to close her eyes and put her palms out in front of her and to let me know if it feels the same or different on both sides.
Same. 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 Same.
I do that 5 times. She got 5 out of 5, so that would be the equivalent of a 2, which is normal. If she did not feel the same on the affected side, that would be a 1. And if she did not feel it at all, it would be a 0. So today for deep tendon reflex, I got the C7, which is also known as the tricep reflex. So for this, the patient would be sitting at the edge of the table. I'd ask her if she's had reflexes tested before. How did you present?
Hyporeflexive.
Hyperreflexive. Now show her how it feels. So holding her arm, I would give her a little tap. How did that feel?
Felt fine.
Okay. Now I'm going to stand slightly behind her and extend her arm behind her, resting her arm on my forearm for support. And then I'm going to ask her to extend her elbow so that I can feel for her tendon. Okay, once I feel her tendon, I'm going to ask her to relax as much as she can. And give her a tap. So there was a slight joint reaction, so that would be a 2 plus. I'm going to ask her to turn around so we can test her affected side. So same thing, I'm going to stand behind her, slightly to the side with her arm supported on my forearm. I'm going to ask her to extend her elbow so that I can feel for her tricep. Once I feel her tricep tendon, I'm going to ask her to relax as much as she can and give it a little tap. So there was slight contraction there, but no joint movement. So that would be a 1 plus. So that would, since they're not bilateral, that would be abnormal. If she had no contraction, that would be a 0 plus.